It's an old cliche in selling. You have to sell yourself. But what does it mean? How do you sell yourself? How do you make people like you? Surely it's a chemistry thing. I mean, you get on well with some people and not with others. Well, that's true if you leave it to chance. However, there are some specific reasons why people like other people. Have you ever wondered what it was about that guy or girl back in high school that everyone wanted to be with? I mean, they had some intangible thing called charisma that made them popular and comfortable to be around. Now, often these types of people are not any more clever or any more witty than you are. So, what is it that attracts people to them? Well, it may surprise you to know that there are a number of specific, tangible things that we can do which will make people like us. At a recent barbecue, I introduced two friends, Bob and Mike. And I left them to talk, and at the end of half an hour's conversation, Bob thought that Mike was the most interesting person he'd met in a long time. But Mike thought Bob fairly dull. Let's reenact that conversation.
Kept me in bed for 6 weeks. When they finally let me up, first thing that happens, stitches burst open. Terrible mess. Straight back into the operating theatre. Doctor said it was the worst case he'd ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, but that was nothing compared to my gallbladder operation.
Tell me, Bob, what do you do for a living?
I'm an accountant.
Oh, who do you work for?
I've got my own practice.
Oh, what sort of clients?
Oh, many small businesses, small engineering firms, an ad agency, a couple of small wholesalers, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So you'd get to see quite a variety of businesses.
Oh, you'd be surprised what I get to see.
That must be really satisfying. I mean, there aren't too many small businesses that know a lot about accounting.
You're right.
So do you find yourself being the sort of silent partner in their business?
Oh, they'd be lost without me.
Yeah.
When June comes around, they're all...
And so for half an hour, Bob told Mike all about the fascinating process of small business accountancy. And at the end of the half hour, Bob said to me, "Gee, that guy Mike's an interesting bloke, isn't he?" Mike had hardly got a word in. The secret to his popularity was that he showed a genuine interest in Bob. Rule number 1, if you want to sell yourself, take a genuine interest in other people. Be an excellent listener. Shakespeare once said, "Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice." Rule number 2, smile and be enthusiastic. It seems obvious. But when we're in a new environment with people we don't know, it's natural for us to feel a little tense, and we don't always act the way we should. We need to be aware of this because enthusiasm makes all the difference to the way we're perceived. This is especially so in the case of sales presentations. For example,
hello, how can I help you?
I'm looking for a calculator.
Sure. Hello, how can I help you?
quite a difference, isn't there? Smiling relaxes your prospect. It tells him you're happy to be there in his company. It's non-threatening. Also, the inflections we use and the variations in volume can make our presentation come alive or seem totally dull and lifeless. So rule number 2 is smile and be enthusiastic. Emery Ward said, "Enthusiasm, like measles, mumps, and the common cold, is highly contagious." And that brings us to our third rule. Use people's names. People love the sound of their own name.
Tell me, Bob, what do you do for a living?
I'm an accountant.
When you use people's names, you're delivering several important messages to them. You're saying, 1, I respect you. 2, you're important to me. 3, I'm making an effort to communicate. Remembering people's names is a learned skill, not a natural one. When we first meet people, a whole lot of garbage is going through our minds. Is this person important? Is he friend or foe? I wish I'd worn my best suit. I hope he doesn't see the stain on my tie. We're taking in a whole new group of stimuli from the person, from the surroundings. To be successful at remembering names, take the following steps. 1, relax yourself. 2, ignore all other stimuli. Looking around, looking the other person up and down. 3, concentrate on seeing his face and hearing the name. 4, mentally visualize the face and the name together. 5. Repeat it immediately after hearing it. If the name is slightly unusual, make sure you clarify it. The final technique we use in selling ourselves is making the other person feel important. Our first 3 rules are all, in fact, part of that rule.
That must be really satisfying. I mean, there aren't too many businesses that know a lot about accounting.
You're right.
Yeah, so do you find yourself being their sort of silent partner in the business?
Oh, they'd be lost without me. I mean, every June they start getting on the phone.
We all have a need to feel important. To be popular, you're going to have to suspend your need for importance in favor of the clients. Here are common mistakes we make in conversation.
Bob, you might be able to help me. I was looking to buy a new car and I was thinking of purchasing outright rather than leasing. Because I read this article.
No. Absolutely wrong. There's no way that buying outright is better than leasing.
Being opinionated and dogmatic is a sign of one's belief in one's own importance. Can you top this as a game we all play sometimes? Someone tells us about an experience that they've had and we come back with a bigger and better story. And people who do this constantly generate ill feeling.
First thing that happens, my stitches burst open. Ugh, terrible mess. Straight back into the operating theatre. The doctor said it's the worst case he's ever seen. And then there was my gallbladder.
So, Mike, I hear you got burgled the other night. Did you lose much stuff?
Oh, no, just the TV, video, jewellery, antique chest.
Oh, that's nothing. 23 years ago, I was broken into. They took my black and white TV set. They were new then. I had the only one on the block. They marched straight through my garden. You should have seen the mess they made. Now, this will really interest you. I was telling Michelle here about my gallbladder operation. Oh, now there's a story.
Next time someone tells you a story, try responding with, "How did that make you feel?" Or, "What did you do then?" There are other positive things that we can do to make people feel important, such as asking for advice. It also helps to use sincere compliments.
Yes, hello.
Bob, Mike here. The cook from the barbecue the other day?
Oh, yes, how are you, Mike?
Fine, thanks, fine. Bob, I was very impressed with the way you seem to be acting as advisor for your clients, and I thought I might come round and show you a new software package that I'm selling. It could be of assistance to some of them.
Oh, yes, sure, come on over.
Great. When would be good for you?
Well, I've got a doctor's appointment after lunch, about 4 o'clock.
4 would be fine.
Oh, good, I'll see you then.
Great, thanks very much, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Bob, hello.
Good to see you.
Yeah. I like your office. You're obviously doing very well for yourself.
Yes, not doing too badly, thanks. I wish I could say the same about the old ticket.
Oh, really? Well, I've got the new package here.
A famous cynic once said, "The secret of success is sincerity. Once you can fake it, you've got it made." Now, I'd like to emphasize that we're not talking about that kind of sincerity. We're not talking about fawning or being obsequious. Be sincere and be subtle. So let's take a look at what we've learned. To sell yourself, you have to make the other person feel important. To do this, we need to take a genuine interest in other people. Be a good listener rather than a good talker. Smile and be enthusiastic. Use people's names. Don't argue. Ask the other person for opinions or advice. Now, none of this comes naturally. It requires practice. However, if you try to live by these principles, you'll not only be better at work, but you'll be better and more popular conversationalist.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure your clients will be very happy with yourself.
Oh,